Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. A military parade was held yesterday in Warsaw on the occasion of Polish Armed Forces Day, with the participation of some 2,000 soldiers, 200 units of military equipment and nearly 100 aircraft and helicopters. The parade, organised under the slogan "Strong Red and White," received widespread coverage in international media. The manpower of the Polish army is to increase to 300,000 soldiers by 2035. The government also anticipates an increase in defence spending. This year alone, Poland will spend 4% of GDP, or almost 140 billion zloty, on defence. In this respect, in percentage terms, Poland is a leader in NATO. How Donald Tusk ran Polish affairs then, when he ruled jointly with Civic Platform and PSL, gigantic unemployment, the disarming of the Polish army, and a policy that yielded on its knees not only to Berlin but also to Moscow. Record military spending is the government's response to threats posed by Russian imperial policies. Despite the facts, the opposition keeps repeating its anachronistic analysis. Half of the Krab howitzers, which are in Poland, and half of the K2 tanks from Korea, appeared in the parade yesterday. Contrary to appearances, yesterday's parade was a bit of an attempt to wash away such a sin from Minister Błaszczak, who pretends to buy things, but there's no such equipment in Poland, while Russian missiles and helicopters enter Polish airspace as they please, and there is no reaction from the military. It is worth recalling that just before the Russian aggression against Ukraine, the opposition wanted to reduce defence spending. Want peace? Get ready for war. According to the metaphor of this Latin maxim, we can say, if you want peace, arm yourself and have a powerful army, because then any possible potential aggressor will think a few times before attacking Poland. We will soon become the strongest land army in Europe. On the 15th of October, in a referendum, Poles will decide, among other issues, a question on the security of the country. The fourth question concerns a fence on the border between the Republic of Poland and the Republic of Belarus. That's what the left in Europe is for. Everything should be open, a multicultural approach. Let's mix whatever. This is one world and the Civic Platform has pulled the cards. I'm a chess player and I do a simple analysis. Because if they had voted for this resolution, they would have exposed themselves to the power holders, Berlin and Brussels. And what would Manfred Weber say? What? Are you against what we are playing with together? And if they voted against it, they would be revealing themselves to the Poles. The Polish army parade caught the attention of the world's media. Reuters, the BBC, Deutsche Welle and CNN all agree that the military review was a message addressed not only to Moscow, don't even try to attack us, but also to voters. We care about your security. The parade showcased the latest technologies that Poland has already or will soon have in its arsenal. US M1A1 Abrams tanks, South Korean K2 tanks and K9 howitzers and Polish Krab howitzers. If we look at the technical modernization of the Polish army today, it is very dynamic, very fast process. It is the result of the war in Ukraine. On top of that, there was a crisis on the Polish-Belarusian border which required very intensive and rapid action on the part of the Defence Ministry. Unfortunately, it also needs to be said that in many cases the Defence Ministry limits access to information by not publishing plans earlier. Despite the 35-degree heat, the parade was watched live by more than 300,000 people, Warsaw residents and numerous guests from all over Poland and abroad. However, the official delegations of the opposition parties and the Senate Speaker were absent. The boycott of the parade of these celebrations testifies as badly as possible to the very low state instinct of the main opposition representatives, and especially incomprehensible is the absence of the Speaker of the Senate. Civic Platform is in an uncomfortable situation, which it created itself by degrading the Polish army and liquidating more than 600 units in eastern Poland. I think it chickened out. It didn't have the courage to stand beside those in power, who have great successes when it comes to rearmament. Ukrainian station Nexta published a video comparing yesterday's parade in Warsaw with the one held in Moscow on the 9th of May to mark Victory Day. The first footage, from the Polish capital, shows numerous modern equipment, tanks, helicopters and planes, while the second shows almost empty streets with only one tank driving on them. The Sejm has rejected the Senate's veto of an amendment to the law on national referendum, which is scheduled to be held on Election Day. In turn, the ruling governing party, Law and Justice, submitted a draft resolution on foreign interference in the electoral process in Poland. I solemnly before you annul this referendum. This is how Donald Tusk responded to the referendum during the National Council of the Civic Platform.
To referendum jest nieważne.
This referendum is invalid in the deepest and broadest sense of the word. You can cancel the referendum in Germany if your friends in Berlin will let you. This is Poland, and we will hold this referendum according to the will of the Poles. They never asked before on the issues they were changing. Did they ask when they took away the open pension fund for Polish citizens? No. Did they ask when they raised VAT? No. Did they ask when they raised the retirement age? They didn't ask. The Sejm today voted against rejecting the law on the nationwide referendum, which allows a vote to be held on the same day as elections.
Chcemy, aby właśnie 15 października.
It is on the 15th of October that we want the citizens to decide these important issues, namely issues related to the security of our country, physical issues, the barrier issue, forced relocation, and issues related to national assets, privatisation, and social issues, namely the retirement age. We are giving a voice to the citizens on these important issues, and what is important is that if the 50% threshold is passed, these will be results that are binding on any future government. In addition to the civic platform, the left is also urging a boycott of the referendum. If I come to the Election Commission and I want to take a ballot when it comes to the elections to the Sejm and the Senate, I will show my ID card and take it. On the other hand, if I don't want to take a referendum ballot, I just won't show my ID card and will not take it.
Nie ma obowiązku.
There is no obligation if there were combined elections for the Sejm, the Senate and the referendum to collect 3 of the ballot papers de facto. It is the will of the voter whether he gets 3 ballot papers or 2 or 1. At the same time, it is important to remember that one can be held criminally liable for destroying a ballot.
Kto niszczy kartę do
Whoever destroys a voting ballot is liable to imprisonment for up to 2 years. During the upcoming session of the Sejm, deputies will also deal with the draft resolution on foreign interference in the electoral process in Poland. The resolution has been submitted to the Sejm by Law and Justice deputies.
Rozpoczynamy.
We are starting, so we want to strongly emphasise that this is, of course, a resolution aimed, on the one hand, at politicians of European countries, mainly, of course, those who preach such opinions as Weber. On the other hand, we are giving a signal to citizens that we do not agree as a parliamentary majority that someone should set up our house. Certainly, at this session, deputies will not determine the composition of the commission investigating Russian influence. Let's remember, President Andrzej Duda signed the amendment to the law he drafted on the 2nd of August. At least one more session must be convened for the commission to be formed in this term of the Sejm.
Wiemy, że
We know that in the agenda of today's meeting and tomorrow's meeting, this item could not yet appear because here, as it were, the deadlines for nominations have not yet passed. But I hope it will happen at probably the next meeting at the end of August. Tomorrow, the Sejm will take up the government's proposal to hold a nationwide referendum on issues of special importance to the state. Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs is paying a working visit to Poland today. Among the topics for discussion with Polish leader Andrzej Duda are regional security, bilateral economic cooperation and the situation of Poles in Latvia. This is the first visit of the Latvian President to Poland since he was sworn in.
omówiliśmy wszystkie.
We have discussed all of these issues that are most relevant. Of course, the one that is most relevant is the one that I have already mentioned a moment ago, the security problem. And this is both in terms of the war waged by Russia against Ukraine, as well as the hybrid threat from the Belarusian side. We are talking here about attacks on our borders. Both Poland and Latvia have this problem. Poland is the third country I have visited since taking office. This is not accidental. It is very symbolic. We talked about what Poland and Latvia are doing to increase security in the region. We need to prepare for provocations from Belarus. We see the need for close coordination and information sharing, given that the Lukashenko regime is using migration to fight back. In addition, the Wagner Group has emerged in Belarus. During my presidency, I will make sure that friendly relations with Poland will develop even further.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.